Welcome to BBC Bingham Distance Learning, dubbed, I think, BBC Two. As you know, this is designed to introduce you to some of the music for the Jubilee Prom, which we hope will take place in November 2021. We will start with each of the 4 songs from my folk song sequence, and in due course we'll look at some of the short pieces for the concert. You should have the music by now. If not, it'll reach you soon. Many thanks to all those who have helped with distribution of the copies. For each piece we look at, there'll be several versions of the video to help you. These have been recorded by Ellie Martin, whom you all know well, Ruth Massey, who sang solo for us in the De Rufle Requiem in 2017, and my colleague from the Minster Choir, Tristan Moore. Plus, you will recognise me, complete with rather croaky lockdown voice, and our esteemed accompanist, Michael. Many thanks to all of these people for making the recordings and to Brad for masterminding the process. You will also see another me conducting. It's slightly alarming to see 2 of me in one picture, but there we are. You will see that for each song there's a version with all the singers singing together and me conducting, and there are also versions with each of the voice parts separately, and finally a version with just the piano part. I suggest for each piece that you start by listening to the full version to get the idea of how it fits together. Then you can do homework with the version that has your own voice part on it, and when you're confident you can sing along either with the full version, or if you're feeling really whiz, you can try singing with just the piano part. Of course, none of this is as satisfactory or as much fun as singing together, but we don't have that option yet. So, for this session we'll be looking at the Scottish folk song which starts off the folk song sequence, Ca the Yowes, on page 1 of the vocal score. Words are by Robbie Burns. A couple of general notes to start. Firstly, we're not going to try and be too Scots in our pronunciation, which may annoy some people, including our eventual Scottish soloist, Judy Brown. You may agree to adjust a few words later, but for the moment, let's stick with the pronunciation on the videos which you'll be watching, even if you think they're a bit English. Secondly, in the whole of the folk song sequence, I've been meticulous about marking in the breathing, so you'll only have to do what the music says, never having to mark in an extra breath, as we often have to do in other works. So, for instance, in Ca the Yowes at the end of bar 12, there's a quaver rest, where you put the S of nows. This should make life easier, but at the same time, there'll be no excuse for getting the consonants in the wrong place. So now a few things about individual sections of the piece. You may want to pause and unpause what I'm saying as you look at each section. The idea is that it starts and ends very still and calm, but gradually warms up and becomes more expressive in the middle. It's therefore important not to oversing the first verse. In particular, the top E at the start of page 2 should be quite quiet and controlled. This will take some efforts for the altos and basses, as it's at the top of their range, so my apologies for that. It needs to be quite gentle. This note is also, in my old terminology, born to be flat for everyone, so as you sing it, imagine the next note is the F above. This applies every time anyone has that note halfway through the tune. Over on page 3 we get the second chorus, this time in 4-part harmony. The altos get one of those moments which you do so well at the start of bar 32, where your B is a suspension, i.e. that's a note held over from the previous chord which makes a nice clash with the rest of the notes. So lean on that note a bit, please, altos. And for everyone, make sure you do plenty of the little crescendos and decrescendos right the way through the piece. As you move from page 3 to 4, make sure you do not get disorientated by the appearance of the extra stave for the soloist. Everyone suddenly feels a stave lower if they're not careful. By the third verse on page 5, The music has warmed up and is now quite strong. However, it should always be very legato, even when louder. Here, the altos get the tune with a soprano descant. Notice the descant is a bit quieter than the tunes, please, sops. This descant bit will need a bit of looking at. Watch out especially for the repeated D at the start of page 6, that may catch you out. You'll need a tiny gap between those two Ds so that it doesn't sound like a tie. The next verse from page 6, bar 52, is the climax of the arrangement, particularly at bar 56. The men are on the tune, and the basses have it on their own for the last 4 bars. Basses do not need to hold back on the top E in this verse. The soprano and alto parts need looking at here. Please note a couple of things about bar 56. Sopranos do not breathe between the last R and Nocht, and then watch for when the parts are in octaves. In bar 56, the sopranos and tenors are in octaves, so listen for that. And then, as you turn the page, the altos take over in octaves with the tenors for 3 beats. Make sure only the basses breathe at the end of bar 57. Proofreading failure number 1. In the new chorus at bar 60, the tenors and basses should have MF marked along with everybody else. So we've come down from the climactic verse, but not very much. There still should be some intensity. Altos are on the tune again here, very legato again from all. Sopranos, watch you are not flat on the second notes of 63 and 64, and tenors be careful you sing a nice sharp C sharp in bar 67. This is the only time in the piece when that particular harmony is used at the end of a verse or chorus. As you move from page 7 to 8, watch out again for the solo stave appearing. The final chorus on page 77 is the same as the first one, very still and calm. Only this time the second half has harmonies. Everyone be ready for the chord at bar 81, and again the sopranos have that E to make nice and sharp. The last 4 bars will be as quiet as we can make it. With 180 people singing really quietly, the effect should be stunning. I hope this gives you some ideas, and I hope you enjoy having a look at the piece. Watch out for the episodes of BBC 2 about the other pieces before long.